some point I'll start believing him. You think, right? Because he's only read about what he's writing on. And we have T-shirts at our house. Everything is better when you
listen to Sears Sooner.
Listen to Sears Sooner. Those of us who hang out with him long enough know that this to be true.
What was the catalyst for printing those T-shirts?
Numerous. So when we set up this contest for the kickoff team, Brett said, "Are you sure you want to do this? You're really prepared for this? You know what's going to happen?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" Of course, right? You're all about competition. Let's do a contest because that gets us all fired up. And I was like, and not only we're doing a contest, we're going to put the results and our goals up on the back wall where everybody can see each of them. And everybody can see what each other has committed to.
We have to ask if anyone has anything to update.
I'm getting there. I'm getting there. So, this was blank for a little while. But we got a little Wade action going on. A little Tony conversation. Little Derek Kimbrough action. Little Tanya action. And we will have an opportunity to update said wall. But he warned me. And I was like, what? You know what he warned me? When you challenge people, when you bring them to the table and offer an opportunity, there are some people who rise to the challenge. There are some people who are like, that's cool. I'm not totally into the challenge, but I'm here to get stuff done and to learn. And then it turns out there's a whole bunch of people who are like, gosh, you know, it's so funny that all these things are suddenly popping up in my life that make it really hard for me to make it to the office. And what's fascinating about it is that the things that pop up are incredibly legitimate. It's not like, well, I'm washing my hair and I'm actually home washing my hair, right? Like suddenly tires blow out of nowhere. Suddenly nannies cancel. Like it's amazing, right? And those are legitimate things to happen. But when we're in one mind frame and that happens, we respond a certain way, as Tony recalls, with some tire issues, brake issues.
Man, both.
Both, Tony hit one. Both, right? There, you know, when we're focused and excited and feeling good about where we're headed, we respond one way to those things coming into our path. And when we're feeling uncomfortably challenged, we might respond a different. And as we were coming in today, and as I said, right, we're slowly filling in here, but it was like, well, where's these people and these people and these people and these people? And I looked at him and I said, I don't understand. And he looked at me and said, really? You really don't understand, Robin? And I was like, oh, God, okay. So, this is what happens in a business that is made up of volunteer people coming to build their own businesses. And so I share that with you because you could walk into this room and feel the way that I did about 10 minutes ago. Well, where is everyone? Well, Brett said this is the moment. Well, Robin said this is when we're growing. And if I look around, I don't see much growth happening here. And if you look around and you only base your assumption of growth on seeing who is in the seats and how many people are in the seats, then you would be right. However, what we try to do in here as much as we can is share what's happening outside of these seats. Because there's a lot of things happening on this team. There's a lot of movement that is happening that we haven't seen in a long time. And there are going to be people who are uncomfortable with it. And so they won't show up for some period of time. Now, the fun thing about people, for the most part, is they actually come back because we've created that space for them. But we can't grow smaller in order to accommodate everybody else. It wouldn't be fair to anyone who's in this room. It wouldn't be fair to each of us as individuals. And so we will charge on. And it often reminds me of, and I tell this to Sue all the time, I'm just like, oh, again. There's a great couple in Texas by the name of, who's my Texas couple? The woman, we were just looking at her on Primerica Online yesterday. I'll think of her name. I never remember her name. But I always remember her conversation at convention 8 years ago. And she said, I was at an ops night, and we haven't done those in a while. So an ops night is in the Primerica world, that's an opportunity night where you're like invited to hear about the opportunity. Wendy, isn't it Wendy? What is that? You know.
It doesn't matter.
Anyway, I know, I just forgot again. So she tells a story, and she's at a convention, true story, and she said, I was at an ops night of one. And at the time that she was talking about, she was a $300,000 earner. I was at an ops night of one. I heard the opportunity, and I went after it on my own. And so each of us has a choice. Whitney, who was a W somewhere in there. Yes. Each of us has a choice. Like, are you going to go after it for you? Or are you waiting for other people to do something before you believe in the opportunity? Because our individual belief is what makes this opportunity possible and real. Right? If you don't have 20 people sitting in this room, it's because somewhere in you question what's here. Because each of us know 20 people who could benefit from this opportunity. Each of us know 20 people who are probably not properly protected and don't know their independence. That's just a fact. And so if those 20 people still exist in our lives, then there's something going on that we need to recognize and overcome. Because a person can sit in an ops night of one, and 3 years later be a $300,000 earner in pregnancy. Right? It's just what's possible. It's just the reality of the opportunity. It's the whole reason I'm standing up here. And so it made me think of a letter that Oprah Winfrey wrote that was printed to me by a good friend of mine. And I wanted to share it with you before we start today. It says, Dear Alive One, I know you just want to get through this time, but I want to woo this time. Don't rush. Take your time, because nothing that is yours is a matter of carried timing. It's going to work out. It always does in its own inexplicable way. And everything occurs in its own right hour. You simply can't breach the laws of reality. I am proud of you. You will make all the decisions that are right for you. And you will make new ones on the spot with new information. As you create this life, you will have thousands of chances. This isn't a multiple choice exam in which you can fail. Take your time. Get through whatever you need in order to grow, even if it feels like cement. You are being given this chance. There is no scarcity of opportunity. Discover by following your desire. The voice inside of you that stops you only has one agenda. But is that the agenda that you want to follow for the rest of your advice? I am here to tell you that you are made of astonishment. You are finding your way even when you are losing it. You may feel though you're struggling or lost. You may ache for resolution because it's human nature to want to skip steps and watch Netflix. But here's what I want you to know. It is working right now. That's the nature of life. It works out. A spiritual journey happens when we open our eyes to see it this way, no matter what. We have a choice to see it this way. You are learning to tune into the signal that will take you all the way. So will you let yourself get there? Will you let yourself go there? It's your choice how you play the song. Besides, there are an exponential number of outcomes that will help you thrive. There is no outcome that you don't have access to. You bring the light with you. You've already won. already chosen. It's already done. The whole world is simply waiting for you to choose yourself and the perspective that most sets you free. And it will wait, because you are valuable. We all are. No matter where you find yourself, you can always choose again. As long as you have a breath, you can start over. There's no complexity except in our own minds. There's only this simple moment. There's no promise in the distance. The promise is here. It's now. Choose to be here. Know that this moment in your life has purpose, and that this purpose is essential to your deepest happiness. This is a choice of mental focus that activates the power of yourself. You will be in amazement when you realize your freedom to choose how truly extraordinary you are. Acknowledge your courage. It's not easy to be born strong and crave higher ground. You may feel as though you're lacking, but truly it's because you're burning to be who you really are. You have a bird of passage within you. You would never be happy without achieving what you want to do most. Of course, sometimes you're frightened. You didn't come into this life to avoid desire and risk and get to the finish line without a smudge or a scar or a scrape on your knee. You want to have to put everything into it. You won't look back and wish you'd done something different. You wanted to get dirty. You wanted to get in it. You wanted to know. Yes, dear one, it's important that you're living a life that matters. And I thought of that for each of us. Because anyone who's showing up today, anyone who keeps showing up, is here to make sure that their life counts and that their life will count for all of you. So thank you for showing up. So let's get to work. So we have a contest. But this contest is about action. And there is only one way to take action in this life. And that is if you know what action to take it.
Does anyone have anything to update?
What?
Does anyone have anything to update?
Does anyone have anything to update? Yeah. I was going to go from here to there, but you could go update. Oh, this is why. Tony has some update. Go update. What you got, Tom?
I got a light pack.
Oh! Sorry, lack of subtleties. I got a light pack, thank you.
Tony's the first point.
Yeah. Nice job, David.
Grundy.
Anyone else? Is anything done? My husband's like, update. We're like, ignoring. Okay. So, we cannot hit the target we're not aimed at. And what did you tell me you were going to do in the month of September? One life pack! It's like my freaking commercial. Thank you. Fred's like, yes, this is why I wanted you to do this. Here's my commercial. You set a goal because if you don't know what you're aimed at, there's no way to achieve it. Now, will you absolutely achieve that goal? I don't know. What I do know is if you have no goal, you will achieve no goal, right?
Yes.
But what we want to do in here is remember how to break down goals. Because if you can do that in here, you can do that in anything that you want to achieve in your life. Make sense? Okay, so I'm going to pass out some packets here. I was like, I went into my full old school teacher mode, like it's even like divided by. There we go. Thanks. Okay. Right, Dawn? I did this full like teacher action. Take one, pass it down. There you go. Okay. So somehow it's already October, basically. So for all the people who are like, but Brad, I'm not gonna get anything done in September. Well, that's okay.
There's still another 2 days.
There's another 2 days.
Don't
This is where I was
shortchange.
going. This is where I was going. I'm still billing away. Come on, let me finish the sentence. There's still another 2 days. And what you're achieving in the next 2 days has to do with what you've planned. So now we're going to focus on what we're planning for October. And let's see if we can get this. There we go. Okay, so the very first thing I want you to do is look at the very first page, the race to kickoff. And I want you to think about one or more things that you plan to achieve in October. Now, in order to get your fabulous shot glass, how many points do you have to achieve? 6 points. And by when? November 1st, yeah? 6 points by November 1st. So if you want, that's your goal, it doesn't have to be, then you need to think about what is your distribution of 6 points in this top section. Maybe your goal is to hit it by the 31st. And you've said, I'm taking October, November, and December. I'm passing on my fabulous shot glass. And I'm going to divide up my points. My goal is I'm going to hit 2 points in each month. And this is how I'm going to do it. Right? Or I'm actually not fighting for anything, and that's cool too. But assuming that we're all on this track together, you are either thinking about how you're going to hit 6 points in October, or you're thinking about what your distribution of 6 points is going to be between now and December. Does that make sense? Okay, so the first thing I want you to do, next to the total points column, next to it, see where it says total at the bottom? Over here next to it, I want you to write the number of points you're targeting for October. Is it 2? Is it 4? Is it 6? Is it 5? Is it 25? Just next to that box right now, everybody, write the number you're targeting. Okay, so we'll go ahead and put 6 right there. And now I want you to think about, from a points perspective first, what is your targeted distribution? It might change halfway through, but as we're sitting here today, what is your targeted distribution of those 6 points? Is it going to be 4 IBAs and a code? Is that possible? Right? Is it going to be 1 IBA and I'm going to go help out 5 families? What is your distribution of your target points? Are you going to pick up 50,000 in assets for 2 points? So take a few minutes and think about what that distribution is and mark the points column to start. And the goal is to make sure that your points in your one column actually add up to equal your points on the side. Isn't that great how that works? That way we know we can't hit a target we're not aiming at. Make sense? If you don't write down that initial points number first, then you're only operating from what you think you can achieve. If you write down your initial total goal first, then you're figuring out how to achieve that goal. Does that make sense? I want to say that again because this is a really important part of goal planning. A lot of times we say, well, let's see, I can do X, I can do Y, but I don't think I can do Z. But if we actually have preset the goal, if Z gets you to that goal, you might actually change the way you look at it, right? If I didn't have you write down your points goal first, you would look down and be like, oh, well, maybe I could get 1 IBA. There's no way I can get a code. There's no way I'm going to pick up assets, but maybe I could do this. But if you write down your points, you're like, oh, I have to figure out a way to get 6 points. I have to figure out a way to get 2 points. Well, okay, maybe I actually could pick up those assets. It changes the way we operate. It's all about thinking at the end of the day. That's what we're practicing right now. That's crazy, right? Because you would have filled this out differently if you don't actually know your goal. So total your points and make sure it equals your goal. Or you might actually do it and be like, oh, I don't actually know if I can reach this goal. I'm going to have to talk to my coaches and figure that out. And that's okay too. But then you are being driven by your goal and not driven by what you think you're capable of. Because most of the people in this room are actually capable of more than they think. If I leave you to only thinking about what you're capable of here today, most people will be like, oh, I think you can get 1 point. But if I get to Tony and Tony's like, oh, heck no, I'm getting 5 more points, Now he's got to fill this out. Yeah? Okay. So has everybody filled out for whatever your points are this top quadrant? Okay. Now we set some goals. So it's one thing to write down the points. It's another thing to say how you're going to achieve those points. And when we write down a strategic goal like this, the more specific you are, the more likely you are to hit it. So generally speaking, up until now, we've only been sort of ticking things off, right? But if you actually write down, I am going to get an IBA from my sister, now it starts to change the way that you attack the target. So sitting here now, and it might be, well, I'm not entirely sure, so I'm just gonna write, I'm going to get 2 IBAs from people that are in my hot market, right? Or that I haven't met yet. Whatever it is, I want you to take the next 5 minutes and be specific wherever you've got points as to what is the goal for achieving those points. I'm gonna pick up 50,000 in assets from 2 families in my hot market. Right? I don't know what it is, but think about it. You've spent enough time coaching. Brett and I will come around and help folks. Sue will also work with folks to think about how can we be specific about the goal to achieve these points. The other reason I'm having you write this down is you could be like, well, but Robin, I'm just writing down, I'm going to get my series 6. What's the difference if I put a mark or I write down, I'm going to get my series 6? When you write it and read it as a sentence, your subconscious locks it in. Your subconscious doesn't lock in a check mark in the same way as it locks in the sentence. So that might be it, right? It might just be, I'm going to get my series 6. But it locks it in, and that's our goal. We need to lock this in. We need to look at it every day and write it down and lock it in. You got it for everyone? Speeding a nose over there. Think about who you're doing it from. Think about how you're doing it. What is the goal? Simple, right? Not too complicated. Because of course we're going to get wide on each of them. Yeah. Okay. So in order to get that, what are you going to have to do? How do you pick up assets? So I'm going to pick up. Well, let's start with I'm going to pick up 25,000 plus assets. I'll start to the KT, right there. Okay. Moving on. So now what we're going to do, I gave you the papers to be able to do this for each one, and we'll get to it. But right now, I want you to look down at your very next section, and we are going to get wide. For those of you, I think most of you have gotten wide with us in this room before. Thanks a lot. Wide in a good way. I remember when we actually came up with this acronym. We were in like acronym mode, and we were like, and I was like, oh, we can get wide, because that's a big printer. I think get wide, bitch, get wide. Yeah. Okay, so the first thing you do is write your goal. I want you to pick one of your goals up there and write down the exact words in here. Like, does it get any easier? You already did it. You already did the W. So cool. It's that easy. Write down the exact goal. Okay. So you just pick one up there and you write it down exactly. So that should be easy. Now we're going to go through getting wide on that goal. Identify and assess what you have and what you need. What do you have already to achieve that goal? I have nothing to achieve that goal. Really? Do you have relationships to achieve the goal? Do you have skills to achieve the goal? Do you have coaches in your life to achieve the goal? Do you have impact stories to achieve the goal?
License.
Do you have licenses? Good, to achieve the goal. What are your assets that you have to achieve the goal? And then what do you need? Right? Perfect example. Tony was talking about, well, I want to pick up assets, but I'm not sure from who. Well, he would need to go backwards through his lineup, right? He would need X number of KTs, Y number of HOTS, right? So right, so he would need to think about, what does he need in his market, right? Maybe he needs 5 people on his draft board. So take a few minutes to think about what do you have and what do you need to achieve this goal. Just do it on one of these goals. What do you have and what do you need? What do you need to achieve this goal? Yes.
It's also helpful to think about mindset, like what mindsets you have right now that are helping you and what mindsets do.
Yeah, that's why I put overcome my hurdles, right? That's a mindset for me. Yes, I totally agree. Totally agree, right? What mindsets do you have that are going to already support you? What mindset do you maybe need? What mindset do you maybe need? I know how to close life, but I just don't know how to close assets. I've never done it before. I'm not saying you have that, but that could be something that's happening in the back of your head, right? And what's so important about what Wade said is our actions flow from our thoughts. Inevitably, our actions flow from our thoughts. If you are not achieving what you want to achieve, check your thoughts. Because the truth is, if you have the good thoughts and your actions are doing something different, then you don't actually want to do what you think you're saying you want to do. Okay, now D is about developing a plan. The reason we break this down is because people often go from here and skip here, and they're like, well, I don't know how to do it. The beauty of getting wide is that you are developing a plan to get what you've already identified you need by using the tools that you have. Right? This is what people naturally do who set goals for a life, right? In their lifetime, all the time, strategic planners and marketers and all those folks, if you actually broke down what they do, this is what they're doing. But most of us think they go from here to here. And we're like, oh, I don't know how to get there. So once you do this work, that's why you have to take this step seriously. It makes the planning so much easier. Right? So what is a plan? Right? What is my plan for following up with my hot mama market? You gotta like that, right? My hot mama market, right? What is my plan for overcoming my hurdles? Well, that's interesting, Robin. All you did was write hurdles. Perhaps part of your plan needs to be to identify them. Right? It's hard to just overcome hurdles generally. Right? And right, assess where's my market? How am I going to do that? What's my plan for doing it? Right? You might have, I would expect, other things that you think you need to achieve the goal that you set. What is that plan? Who are you going to talk to? You might say, I have no idea, but what I can do in my plan is set up a time to talk to Brett. Right? I can set up a time to talk to Wade. That might be the most you got. Right? I know I can turn to my market. I know I can turn to my farm system. Right? I know that I can make lists. That is our whole business. It's almost impossible, right? Other than getting a license yourself. Your list is involved in any one of those activities in some way, shape, or form. And your list might even be in your license if you've got someone that Ray is helping and coaching. So what are you going to do, right? And what I want you to think about here is this could be a lot. So we're making it simple. This is all about keeping it simple. 3 things. What are the 3 things? If you did them, your goal is an absolute going to happen. This is how you develop a plan. What are the 3 things that if I do, it's going to take care of what I need in order to achieve my goal? Start with 3. Right? These are your directional goals. This is the direction that I'm moving. What are the 3 things, not 25, what are the 3 things that you could do in order to achieve this goal in 4 weeks? Yes.
So when you think about that, the 3 things, I know we're thinking of something tactical, right? So, because you could have a, for example, for your hurdle, right? You could say, do X workshop, right? To figure out a hurdle, right? But then within that, there will be.
Well, that's your tactical. So we're not at tactical, right? We're planning our strategical goal, and these 3 things are our directional goals.
No, that's my.
So you'll have one next
level. So you want to actually, instead of being like talk to 15 people, you're asking the 3 things would be come up with a prospecting plan.
Yes.
And then the tactical would be in the execute portion.
Yes,
right?
but
Because
if you're more, so yes, that's like the more advanced level. It might be that people tend to go tactical. So if you went to talk to 15 people, then on the tactical, right, you're still going to drill down to how am I going to talk to those 15 people? But yes, so part of what we're going to do as we're writing it down is how do we turn it into a directional goal? So that's a perfect example, right?
That's my
I'm
question.
going to talk to 15 people, and so that's actually established. What are the 3 things I can do? I can set up a prospecting plan.
No, that's my question. So what the goal is on the develop part is to have like a step above, like brush my teeth. Like no,
Yes.
like it's a step above brush my teeth. It's
Exactly.
What's my morning routine,
Exactly.
right? And that's what we want to try. That's what we're trying to do for develop, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. Right. What are the directional steps that if I take them, I'll achieve my ultimate goal? Does that make sense? What are the directional steps that if I achieve them, and that's what I should change that to. What are the directional steps that if I achieve them, I'll achieve my goal? It's a great one. So for those of us who started to write down brush my teeth, go back and think about it, right? This is a learning process. This is not like we all have all the answers. Now, we know the structure is dynamic, right? But what we do within the structure is a learning process. People spend years figuring out goals. No one answers, right? But if you think about it, okay, you look at your paper and you're like, that is more like brushing my teeth than a plan for, good teeth hygiene. Like, oh, what's the step up? And then while you're working on that, that moves us to, so now here, right? So this is the strategic goal that we just talked about, right? And so as you said, these are the 3, you will have written down your 3 directional goals, and then you're gonna pick one directional goal, and it just follows suit. That's like how this system works. Whatever directional goal you wrote down, create a prospecting plan. That becomes my first goal down here. Right? And then what are the 2 to 3 things that I need to do in order to create that plan? Right? And a lot of times we're like, okay, now go do the rest, go do this and that, but this is our time to really work on this. And so what I'm gonna do, like you 2 are together. Derek, will you and Oscar get closer together, and Mel and get close together? And Mel and Wade get together, and Mundo and Tanya and Sue. Mundo and Tanya get together, and Sue and Brett and I are gonna come around and let's sit and work on this for a little while. Okay? And I'm gonna just open up that next level so that we can actually get into the work of it. So you set your goals at the top and you pick one as your strategic goal. You're identifying your 3 directional goals, and then you're going to pick 1 directional goal, and you're going to work on that. And very conveniently, you're going to skip 2 and 3 and save that for later, and then you've got your tactical goal page. And that's where you get to take that directional goal and write down what are the tactical goals you identify and what's your actual plan. And then we'll talk about the next steps. Let's dig into this for a little bit. Okay, so getting an idea from Betsy. Got all these things. Asserting my confidence to talk with her. And then give her. What is starting? Why did you get Betsy IBA today? So you're telling me that other than boss, you can call Betsy and get her here. Well, no, that's contact us. So this, let us just let it happen.
The reason why it's here is right? And so, okay, so let's talk about.
I'm gonna ask a question. Call Betsy today.
Well, I had something like that. Here we go.
Let's see.
Yes.
Yes. Yes or no? Call Betsy today. So this conversation, that's it. And we write it. No. I don't know if it's a board.
So it's a key ring of 24.
Or no.
Okay. 2 hours.
What?
One
She doesn't work. So to me, the first thing is because she's
I sort of feel the same way, and that's why this is so.
You could do the price plus. So you remember, first it is, and you are purple.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so now what you prefer to say yes? In order for her to say yes, what you have to do?
Now I know that.
That's
there,
there.
right?
And you're right, right, it's one of the things that you. So
Yeah.
one of the things
There's
is
a skills gap.
develop.
Mindset gap. So you can try to look at and just do all action. We're not gonna go to society, we're not gonna develop trauma. So for example,
And what you need, so you have to have it here. Yes.
that is
What do I have?
study how to do
So
that.
that's.
Like you just go out and try to do
Right
it.
now, it's an ass, right? Yeah.
You think residents?
That this would be before this is no.
What is now that?
Right.
So this is building on part of it. Otherwise, it's just
So-
creating our thing.
So we, it's more of the overall, actually.
Right, in church, because you're like, I want to be here.
What you're
This is probably. Seriously, I mean, you know, because it's made up of a bunch of.
so
If that's even the term.
that
If
they
you
can
want to
start
put
thinking about
yeah,
that you do go.
So going
it
down
gives
the
you
loop,
complete hours.
you want to go to this, right, when you decide these
Most
things.
Now
here's
it's
where I want it.
Yes.
You gotta-
Now here's what we
You're
do.
like a garden,
It will.
right?
The reality.
There's this
It
big,
will.
there's
It will.
Absolutely.
But so we should focus when you can ever
If
and
you
when
go
there
down
is
to
two
the
hands.
You're as close as you
So
can to
it
this.
just has to
You
be.
accomplish
Bunch of flowers around it,
3 or 4.
And so I have to do that. But all of a sudden, the first act is just to get it out there. It's much lighter. So it kind of.
And it's really similar.
So what happens?
So much like it's all like,
So first thing is, so in abstract, was to focus on that.
So you're like, I need a time manager. Why? Because I've got a million different courses going on, I got the family, I got this. So now
So
you're
that's what
like,
we need that,
so
right?
what when it's time
So
management,
one,
okay,
then you gotta ask.
what are
The
the
first
specific
ask,
things I have to do to keep my time
Right,
management?
so this is.
By
Yes,
such
that's where
work,
we.
I need X amount of
That's your action.
that's on your.
So,
Make sure
right.
that I got it. What do I?
Right,
do?
so.
What do I need to get myself?
So you don't have to be an ask about it.
What are, so you have.
So should I be?
And then write it down.
So let's say it's material, test taking, so you have a kind of study material.
Right.
But then, what is my legal plan for my time?
Yes.
That's what is my study for my time? So
Oh, cool. Takes good
what
care
is
of
my,
it. So
how am I getting
here, so
here?
what's stuff here? So like how does it
For that, because if you have a time management plan, a study material.
No, none of that is on here.
Hit each one of those,
Right.
you
Those
pass
are
it,
things
test
that-
it.
Oh,
So-
right, yes.
Which is
So
the same
that's the app.
Okay, but that's why I study 2 hours a day. Because studying 2 hours a day
He does.
doesn't end well. So,
Okay,
because
so
they're like,
there's
well,
more
what about this? Well,
So
yeah,
what is
within my
it?
time management, what am I
So
studying?
we
What am I
have
testing? Right, and so now I'm
Okay, so
which is where most students screw up because they
Well, I learned to be nice.
You know how to do
they
this.
think the tactical
So. First question, doing the
Right,
same.
they're asking, well, when can I do it? So, you wanna do that now?
Sure.
Oh, no, yeah, no,
but you know what?
The accomplishments of our strategic
Sitting still.
Very the do drive
That's totally fine.
the accumulation of the strategic
Okay, so the Jesus is these.
What that means is that, I'm not even saying that. I'm saying there's a new
So
skill.
this is how it's always.
Are you gonna be able to follow
This page.
You can do this allows us.
There is a new skill.
Your ability to plan out and know every year.
And then.
Because if you're like,
You must
okay,
learn.
man, I studied, I put in my 12 hours, I hope I studied, I hope I passed.
Not knowing
Versus
if I can do it.
I used the time I did, doesn't matter what you did. I passed the subject, it doesn't matter. And I got the exam results.
So, but that's important.
When you go in, you still have to perform, but there's a sense of ability when you walk in. Because you didn't not get the time, and you did not master material, you did not.
I can't do that, then you go to something else, right? Then you experience the same set of circumstances, like, oh, I can't do that, because I'm right? Something else, and the problem is.
Exactly right, exactly right. And then the actual.
So then basically.
Well, if you rush out, and then you build your practical,
Oh, I
and
didn't
you realize
realize.
these factors may not satisfy this component of the strategic plan.
Yeah, okay,
Then
so
it's
that's
definitely
you on that plan. Yes, and then
Because it
actually where you can do it.
before you had passed the test, right?
So
You didn't have that practice. But I can tell you through experience, and if you have the mental capability and skills to pass those tests, you do your same. Okay, good. So then the question is, not can I do it? Right? It's also not knowing what you can do, right? It's I don't have the skills.
So what I'm saying is,
So that's a much,
so
I don't have the skills, it is a much different
thinking here,
it's not a fear, it's
but
a fact.
it's really easy
Okay,
to.
so I don't have the
It's
skills.
coping with that. It's easy to make strategic and tactical
I
decisions.
can't.
But the level
It's easier, but it's also a fancy slash story to tell yourself that is verifiably
So if you say,
untrue.
I need a time,
So question number one is, do you want to live in the facts or do you
I
want to
need
live in
a
the fantasy?
material
Okay.
mastery
So-
plan.
Every time that you have to tell yourself, okay, I can't do this.
I know it's
you
like
will
a
lose
hundred.
fantasy.
And by the way, I'm done with you.
And you said, if I.
Oh,
Then
That is
Right.
And that's what I'm asking. And I learned my
Every
technique.
single
I checked
thing.
the door. I have persistent to be free.
I can't do it, I can't do it, you do it, you have to. So I'll do it next to me.
And so now you're looking at what is my time management?
But
The reason now you might be your time management.
How am I mastering?
So,
How am I mastering?
so.
And then it has to be. Here's what I do.
Right, no, no, exactly.
Read the chapter.
So we have number one, is the person had questions.
Did I say?
One was that. And then what is the practice test?
I didn't say that.
I mean, what's the practice test of
Right.
the subject? I'm gonna get an 80 and then I'm gonna accumulate and I'm gonna accumulate 1, 2, 3.
That's not
Well,
him.
no, no, it's not. You know, it's not
And then you do this. And that's this.
I mean,
Okay.
hundreds.
So now,
Those are all
this-
tactical.
Yeah, maybe thousands of shows, so exactly, and you still, oh, I can't.
Oh, mine.
Okay, so what that means.
Yeah, but your plan.
No,
Good.
there's no amount of work, like tactical work that you think is a lot of process. You have a mindset challenge, right? So the first thing, okay,
I got my life, I got relationships, and then started the conversation.
Tactical is your
okay, so there's something
Yeah,
very
it's called.
it's fine, so you are using
Three
that.
ideas.
Right? So you have to figure out what that is. I can't tell you that. So I was sitting in a journal.
Three people.
5 times a day.
Is there a study?
Does that make sense?
So you
And
can-
and what we're trying to do is
Those things
one,
are like.
make eliminate the stress so you can actually do it.
Correct, so here's.
Well, yeah, you know you can't, will use it
And
differently.
what, and which ones that you're.
Now, I want to get, three people in
They're all
here.
Generalizing every
So,
component.
You have a mindset, so you have a mindset.
This on every component.
The financial.
But here's the other thing,
Whatever it is.
is that
Okay, 8 people
I'm
on
not
our,
asking you stuff.
how many people are around Niagara?
I just verified that. That's not mine.
Great.
That's still.
And how many of those three started out?
So we don't have to worry about.
How many of
And
those three?
it works on every component.
Done. This line says. So. This is like.
And so when you go back,
So we're gonna have to try to.
remember, right? If you can teach someone to do it, and you can be promise, you can teach someone a relationship for free. And so, as your listeners, one, apply it to your life, but keep the different part of
This
the
one
brain.
is
So,
all about.
this isn't just for me to learn, this is for me to find a way because everyone in your organization differentiates then results become inevitable. Because they're like, here are the 3 or 4 things, here are the 3 or 4 strategic things I have to create.
So now we know we've got
I
something.
don't care what the goal is, and then here's the task I gotta do each strategic. So
I can
Right,
say.
the first thing I have to do is get people.
Probably.
Now, how do I get people? I have to develop my skills.
And that's what almost everyone does. Because we're in the way of Nike has to just do it. Right, and so we think that actions are priorities. Now, no accomplishment but action for the sake of action. And this is just ego and illusion.
Well, probably sure, right? Started at age 13, working in, 40 work. His mom and dad. So he just says, "You do it." Yeah, he said, I wrote, no, yeah. I did it.
Why did you
You're gonna try it.
I mean, I did.
So the only thing
So what is your mission?
it's like you get one Russian thing
What we're talking about.
First chapter.
Yeah.
You're
We're not on.
Oh, that's
right.
So those, so if you think about this, so you want
We're actually,
You're always.
and you went,
Where it's not a salary to where it stops. Right? So, and as you go, you get lighter and lighter.
I need to have this conversation with my market. And then I need to have another conversation with my market. With those, no. Yeah, if you want one man's count, one is you have to figure out, okay, how many kitchen tables do I need to be on? Right? Because it's ultimately a numbers game. You gotta be able to have enough points. Now, how you get on that plane, that's a tactical breakout.
That would be powerful.
Yeah.
Right?
I need to know the manage the count conversation so that I can really what I'm
The question is, can I do it?
right? Because you're like, if you go out and sit with somebody and you talk about your licenses and the access guy, does that mean you don't have the ability to know
This challenge.
do they have time to let them know?
I learned everything. Everything.
They do?
And I was learning skills. but
Very,
those
very
skills weren't focused on what I was trying to do.
That makes sense? So, and you tell someone the access guy, that gets them.
I know.
This is how we got to the last one. I don't know that.
And learning skills. Focused on what we're trying to do.
Because it's fine, like that.
Right? So that's not
Well, so if you think about this, our number one goal when it comes to relationships is to
But we're
make
kind of, that's down here. It's
That's
how it's
So it's a money.
you think you're the person that we have no idea about the person. Now, we have to go in, we have to change numbers, right, in terms of where things are. If I'm on X number, I can expect Y amount of results. But I have to actually understand the number because it might be, if I'm on 10,
none of my
I might say like whatever the
And
number is. But my number one goal out of these 10
So
is the lockdown.
for fun.
and I don't think
Front and like.
So part of what you
Well, it's
part of what your goal is, right? In terms of
right, because we're on the multiple.
one, I have to understand numbers.
Yeah,
One of my
right.
strategic goals has to be understanding numbers. Why? Because if you don't understand the kitchen table and numbers, then you just talk to people in the market. That doesn't actually guarantee. The kitchen, like the kitchen table conversion, which is what I would think about this number. How many so yours may be one person. Does that make sense? You can't talk about one person. But if you talk to 100, then you think you okay, if you talk to 90, 80, 70, 60, 50, 40, 20, where's the number? Because what you're looking for is, I want that's a $25,000 asset. So I agree with that. There is a number of appointments that you have to do in order to believe that I'm on.
Do you see that number? When you establish your one, establish one, and then you say, I'm going to establish one more than 15
So,
this problem.
These are tactics. I have to know how to have the access conversation.
On this topic.
Absolutely, those are all true. But once you know the numbers, then you have to have some degree of presentation.
So, okay, so what else?
In here, I got another first. I know. I got another. These are tacticals under do I know my presentation? Because if I'm on X number of days, I don't know the conversation. No, if you go sit with some good people, you're like, yeah, so you can exactly the presentation. Is that going to give it? Are they going to give it to you?
As a skill.
No. So just because you're on the kitchen tables without the conversation, but if you're on the line, right, when you're and you have some degree of mastery of the conversation, do you have a better chance of expecting
As little as possible.
So
Moving forward on results.
So the strategic are to understand the kitchen table numbers.
Robin.
Yes.
Yeah.
The other thing is now I can work your marketing. Right? So you're like, okay, I know the numbers. I know the conversation.
So you know you're.
And I have to get
Do it.
So if you work your market to get enough, if you work your market to a point where you're creating enough activity, and you know the conversations,
Okay.
will you get one account? Does that make sense? If you don't work your market, but you know the numbers, if you know the numbers, but you don't work your market, are you gonna get a rent account? If you work your market, but you don't know what to say, you don't know how to if you work your market and you know the numbers, but you don't know the conversations, are you gonna get in? No, but if you check those three boxes. Correct.
So the way that we do this is what your strategic goals would be are your plans for achieving. That's what
I know, but the plan
literally. So you would put, so to help with families, right? What were the strategic
Highly achieving goals, they go tactical because they go right now.
So develop my market would be an example, right? So one of the things, so if I develop my market, I can help them. If I learned the conversations, I can help. If I, right, so that would be learning conversations, right? So then you would be this one, into your,
How many people do you need in the class?
yeah, into, right?
So you're just older.
So then here, right, you would take this one and put it here, you take the second one,
No, we only.
and then in here you say, okay, so if I'm gonna
This is
work my market, right, then what are the things that I need to do in order to do that? And then you go to your tax. Right, so the tax is like most granular level.
So,
What am I gonna do this week? Right, I'm gonna meet with Brett on Wednesday at 4:30 to talk about this. I'm going
I
to
must have
make my hot list and go, and I'm going to, this is like the most granular, and I think that my tax implications,
So
what am I going to
do
do
these
in order to achieve that
I
utility?
just-
Right, this is how, so this is the planning, and then when you walk out of here, this is what you
to accomplish the strategic goals.
so right, that's what design is. So you've done the work, you've done the planning, you put this work. Now all you're doing is this, because what you'll know is if you achieve whatever you have here, right? You can either cross that off or you're on your way, right?
I need,
You're on your way.
I need
And
a review,
most
I need
people
time
either-
management between my job and my kids.
And it
So
doesn't
when it's
necessarily
primary things, primary things,
you might miss,
I
you
need to know my market, I need to know who I'm talking to, what I'm talking to, right? And then I need to know the conversation.
That's what I go to. What do I need to know?
Right, what are the skills? So,
Who do I need to know?
market it, right, I walk out, I put on my
People are
primary
on your website, right? You're showing this.
right? I knew how many people, how many times, what was my business development plan, is how it goes. Was it prospecting, market report, activities, and then what am I doing and how am I leading through versus presentation, right?
So what-
Broken down to how am I closing? How am
What
I
is,
delivering?
it's developing the, what, and that's what
And
we
then
were
these are
talking
the
about, it's developing
these are the tactical actions, strategic goals,
this is a big
directional ones.
I've identified what I need, and then this is how do I see when I have to
It
get
is.
ready. So, you learn the conversations by reviewing it. Everything, this is the, and there's records, right? And essentially you said, what do I need, well, what do I need? It's basically when I get there, I'm
Always has to, because life's complicated.
so then I take one of them.
And if we take this to accomplish that,
So let's do it. So let's say, okay, so I need to know,
right? So what do we
so
want?
I have to
Directional line.
develop
Where
an
are the strategic goals?
identity.
What do we
Identify
want
the
to
three things we
accomplish in order to get our directional line? And then what are things we do to accomplish our strategic goal?
If you set anything, health, right, you have a health goal one year. Okay.
Okay, in order to help a family,
But in a
you
right now,
have
you
to,
don't know how to do anything,
like,
you don't know how to do
you have to have the house, right? And that's where I go to the list, that is exactly it, right? So in this case, now we start to take a step back, right? Because yes, this planning skill, it's a
So if you're like.
Because
You're like, okay, Rob, so let's see, I need a
Okay,
family.
well, if I go on a,
Okay, well,
What assets?
you know
tell
what?
me-
What am I missing?
Right.
And when it's in my head, I win. So I was like, we have to listen to
I just want to
one,
add,
right? You have a benchmark. Say,
Where am I?
where am I?
So then what happens then is now we're going back down to the yard.
Okay, so
And
you
now
had a
it's how
specific
it's done.
activity in mind.
It's something that doesn't happen.
So let's take that for a moment.
This is about to give language here and say, I can go tell you this
And what's the name?
This is what happens. Here's why. I know how to dial in my market.
If you called out a set of training and said, we're coming over
I know that
to,
I need to be on X number of appointments. So my market, I'm going to work my market. Get on X number of appointments. When I'm on these appointments, I work with their,
So what would
I know this number is this. So what I'm going to
okay,
do
so
right now
you
is
set it up for
I'm
2
going
weeks.
to my presentation. I'm gonna work on one.
So she's gonna say yes to
Okay,
two. Okay, so you know she's one.
I got 30 points, okay, I need four more.
So now why would she be
Why?
waiting?
Well, because I know that I'm on 7 appointments.
Okay, so she'd be waiting for Claudia? Okay, so if Claudia was here, would you say no?
I sales.
So she's sort of on like your warm.
So it's all the same process, but now you're
So
very
in
happy
order
every day. What am I supposed to do?
So that,
Because the doing is critical.
your
The
warm.
doing you accomplish
So
this.
are you actually sitting down with her first appointment or you talk to her? You've already had her first? Okay, she's already had her first. So she already had her first. So you actually are just going, oh, is this the one that you're going to? Yes. That's a difference. Okay. So she's already had her first. This is the one they can. And you gather the information.
I've never seen this.
And you
This is so many.
in the
software, we can raise.
Okay. You have
The way they're like, oh, you can sit down, it's good for health.
So you have to get back in.
You wanna get in shape, you wanna be better, you wanna do whatever.
Okay. Okay, now I understand. So before you get back in successfully, what do you do?
Which is more painful.
It's the second. Well, but you don't have to know. It, right?
Yeah, but it's not what I said. This was.
Wait, stop. Right, so what do you need to know to actually get back in? We need to know something before that. Do you call her and say, hey, I got your FNA ready, can I come over now? You said she's gonna say in a couple weeks.
So
So do you know
now,
how to get her to say
what
yes
you
or
guys
go back?
take the next morning.
No, I need to know, right? That's a skill.
And
Right, so number one, I have the butler.
whichever one you guys want, pick one of them and say, okay, how can you do this?
Yeah.
This access, the skill.
It's an actual skill, I never understood. I was like, I don't understand. The person let me in their house, they gave me the information, they said they wanted this nice, and I came back. Like, how crazy is that? But it's true. There's a skill to getting through it. There's a cadence to timing, and then when the timing is off, there's different language about how to get back in. I mean, how crazy is that, right? Because it's not logical to suppose of a solution. You're like, oh, can I have it tomorrow, right? There are a lot of people. So if you miss this window, you now have to reestablish getting back in.
So I do good.
I had no idea. As a lawyer, those are such things. I pick up the phone and I'm like, it up. They're like,
I don't know.
okay. So you have to develop the skill. That's the
And
first
then
thing,
you're saying,
right?
Those
Then you have
things.
to know how to deliver.
I have read 100 books
The
about
FNA,
that
right?
the accumulation.
Now, the very first time you go back,
strategic
is there an expectation that you're gonna do it by yourself?
this,
Survivor bias.
Okay.
Read these books.
So you need to know
and then
Yes.
over time how to
What do
deliver
I
the
do?
FNA, and you don't know what your part is in delivering the FNA.
in
Right.
order
Who would go back with you?
Read 100, 200 books. We'll
someone
find that
that will accomplish
And when you talk to someone, you say to them.
Yeah, right.
strategic
So now when we go,
this
okay, I need to know how to deliver an FNA, right? So now we go into what are your
that
parts,
can,
right?
that
So
is
one
right,
is
that we can say,
video
yeah,
can
it's
I
exactly
watch,
what it is.
two
But it
is
allows us to
I have
then say,
make
okay, when you start talking
like
about
what is it? Go back, look at that
because
stage.
we can't.
What is my
I hate you with that.
You know?
I have the needs that I
No.
get.
right? And then I'm talking to you, okay, so how do I work on it?
Only we can do
Right?
this stuff.
I'm not prepared to be a relationship person, as soon as I'm the expert. How do I introduce you? You have
This is
to
your head.
learn, right? How do I introduce you? Who is? Right, like, honestly,
Yeah, I know you.
que grande!
Right, so as you get away from yourself, basically, it's
I'm reading almost every person.
right, and now you're gonna explain
Isn't that
it.
crazy?
Where does it fit? And all of a sudden, it's very easy to find, like,
You know, right?
you're doing this because it's a.
Well, so, so bad, like, I want this. No, I know, right? Like, she's like, oh, I'm not even there yet. I'm not even there yet. It's crazy, right? So this is what you started to say here.
Groups of 30, so.
Yeah, I don't, I can't do that whole.
about how we look at, so we can actually start here, and normally we start, right? But because we have a specific context, right, so you can start here, but then you have to say, wait a minute, I don't actually realize the things that I actually need to do.
Yeah.
In order to achieve this one thing,
All of us do.
right?
This is.
Now, here's the other thing. When you say help the family, is your goal to just give them a plan and make it okay?
Yeah.
Can you get a plan for just giving them a plan? No. Well, yeah, but they're supposed to buy something, right? Yeah. Right? So it's one thing to deliver the FNA, it's another thing to get them to actually buy into the program, right? So now, like, that's the next thing, right? Because they'll close.
Yeah.
So this,
Yeah.
It's actually, right, it's part of the FNA.
I've never
But
seen.
it'll actually close it. There are tons of people who will deliver an FNA, go to the house, never do anything. Because they're like afraid to close. Now, when you still deliver an FNA, Sue and
Rather than
Brett,
have a,
you are,
conversation.
right?
We'll be in a strategic conversation and then one of us will have.
As you do the FNA, it's
We can go tactical
But
right
that's
now.
what part of
So we
the skills needed.
go to that
Right?
stage because it's so easy.
And none of this matters if you can't get to go back to the gym.
But it,
And so that
but
becomes
it's,
so,
right, so.
does that make sense? So now I take that, and I put it here, what am I going to do this one to do? Oh, wait a second, so hold on.
That, right?
Because
You just understand your.
this is what we're getting to, you put it here,
Know
so now I have
how many people
Oh, okay, yes, sorry, we're still not exactly, yeah, so here I'm at developing the skill.
X number of appointments.
So what things?
So that means I
Right,
need
so what does that
X
mean?
number of people in my market to be able to get
Right.
one appointment with the
How,
conversations.
how,
Yes,
yes,
that's
this is the how, and this is what,
If I don't know,
So
one, I don't know how many appointments.
and this is sort of.
Just on my market.
Well, that's what I.
Well,
That's right,
That's what I talk to my
right,
market.
that's sort of the why, yeah, right, so this is how I.
No,
And then I
because
take
you're
all
on
my
your.
factors, put them here, and I'm like, what specifically can I do this?
You can go on 100 appointments, even though you're go six. March maybe one, white people.
Right, right, right.
Right. Go on 30 appointments.
Well, is watching the KT gonna help you? I don't know, this is a conversation at the end of the KT.
Eight,
Well, there's not, but watching the KT will help them.
It doesn't matter.
Four,
Watch KT and
five,
practice.
four,
Afterwards. Something
five,
like that.
four. Okay, looks like you feel like your number's five.
And then break
Okay,
it
so
down.
you're on 5 appointments. Is this another? Yes, if I would have 5 appointments, then I know I'm missing.
Build the
Okay.
relationship
So,
stronger by adding value.
5 appointments.
By adding value. Now, here's the big one.
How many?
Add value to increase
Right,
productivity.
what's your market, right? If I have my bullpen, right? How many?
This is a big one.
Well, 8, if I have 8 bullpen calls with 10, 7, 6, 3, well, I can't get on 3 because I gotta get on 5. 13, okay, so you have 13, you have 3 bullpen conversations, you can get on 1.
And you can do more.
Yeah, 2.5.
You actually,
Yeah, 2.5, but on 1.
so your other big hound, when you lost check space, your other big hound is adding value to
Bullpen conversation.
So what can you do that isn't about the go back? To further develop the relationship and
And you start,
right?
if I have a conversation,
Right?
I know my.
You know, you wanna, board was just getting talked about
This is
in the KT.
Now, what are
You send an email with the owner.
What's the sugar?
I'm sure you would listen, right? So like, this is a great one, that if you're having go back issues, you wanna go back to other values. Is there something they said in the KT, and you can then send them an article, or give them a call and be like, hey, how's that soccer game that you mentioned? Right, so you can take a step back, or you can take 2 steps forward.
You start going, sure.
Right, so that's the other thing, right, so watch the conversation pricing, And what can I do to increase my credit?
That makes sense?
Right.
Right?
And then
That's
over here, what are the things you
right?
can do
How
this
many
week?
times that's where we live. What most people do
And
is
you
put it
understand
down, all right, I got 6 people to call. Great, you call those 6 people, you call them, well, I mean, if they say yes, and if they let me in the house, it's not fair, or I do the presentation.
Yes, I do.
Right, now you're having all of this.
Right, you gotta do it.
Does that mean credibility?
Yeah.
This one, I did go through and work on.
How does
I
those
wasn't on this.
Because I think that's
Right, we're thinking to watch the conversations, yeah, that's the other thing, thinking about, what can I do?
Guaranteed.
That would
So now we can operate on training, because all it says is, well, I don't know. So now how do I accomplish this? Here's the tactical action.
right? And how can I go away,
To accomplish my
not
goals.
just think about the values.
Cannot do only that.
Right, maybe it's an inventory, maybe it's an article.
So that
This is the
that.
structural
Right,
facilitation.
so
of
this
so,
would go, build the relationship over here,
right, we talk about,
so you go build relationship.
I am, I was. What are these 2 lines? First, I can report, this is my I am,
So.
this is my I was. What are these
So, yeah,
lines?
the money.
We got people to think about adding value, but if they do, we didn't add value to
But this is my I was.
which I had done. So a lot of
We
the
talk
things
about our I am, we talk about our I was.
I had to do. I knew I was at
Talk about
value,
our
I did not.
To explain how we went from here to here,
You and I.
so that we can generalize
Let me.
our will, because I can. Right? I'm gonna do our will. I'll do what's like this. I
Yeah, I was
know.
talking to someone and was talking to me
So
something
we
to
can
do.
actually.
Are you able to have this conversation?
I went from my was to I am, I am, by doing my did, so I could work my new version of my did.
And that's what my idea.
Well,
No.
you know, these aren't right.
Yeah.
So do you, what are your doubts?
When you're talking about your I will,
Yeah, right. Well, I actually have this right now. Yeah, and this is one of those, you know, it's so much, I was just in. And I was thinking about X, Y, Z, right, because now it's time back to go back. Right, I was just including information from our meeting, and this when, you know, we were talking
Seriously,
about.
how many mutual funds are there, 15,000? Yeah, there's 15,000 mutual funds. Now you can look at all of them.
Break, yes, break it down into, it's not really.
This is understanding.
Right,
Well, this is
right.
understanding your market.
How long has it
These
been
are-
shared?
sorry,
Come up with.
These are the parts. What are, I
How
will
long
look
have you
at.
been putting people in the investors that can't?
What are the parts?
How can I break this
Right,
down?
and has any client-
Actually, not since day one.
Is it something
Well, the
that's
whole
right?
thing.
No.
Breaks
It
down.
was Oppenheimer's Main
Which I didn't have to show.
And you know what's really fun? They're about to buy it, they're about to bring Main Street in, which is like.
So that's.
Oh, they used to be part of Oppenheimer, and then went out there.
No, Main Street is Invesco's equity in income fund.
But now Invesco's gonna buy out.
And bring the Main Street fund back.
What am I doing with taxes? How can I?
Well, but no, they but your equivalent fund, when
And
you
it was
started.
only this layer was created.
We use the Oppenheimer Main Street fund more than the Invesco.
And then you're looking to this
So we
90,
have
and you're like,
identified.
oh my god, what's this? And usually the 90.
No, this is, I do not.
Incredible, right? And so this is where we're at on my research. So number one is that the,
How are you gonna get?
I'm trying to get her to understand that this process can work for anyone, right? So everyone can buy what I say.
And then
You
that's
have
where you get lost.
But you have this
Yeah.
process and the
Yeah.
tools, you can learn.
Right,
That being said, once you can identify problems and issues, using this, one of the tools you can use is.
Are you gonna wrap this up?
She's trying to think, how is she, we know that the investors.
Well, then, guys, can we wrap this up?
I need 20 seconds.
20 seconds.
Of the other 10,000 funds, how do we know that the investor bank can use